Hi there and welcome to the Labyrinth. In this video we're going to be talking about Nathaniel, who's the angel of fire. Before we do so, of course, as usual, welcome to the channel if you're a newbie. I'm Anah Parreli. If you're a returning visitor, that's wonderful. It's great. Thank you. It's a very good indication to me that you're finding the content on the channel helpful and useful, which is completely emotionally rewarding for me, and it makes it motivates me and inspires me to continue with the content that I put up. So anyway, to get back to it, and prompted by the image that I have here, in case people aren't aware, my understandings are, or my perceptions are, that angels don't actually have feathery wings like we see here, and this is because they have light bodies. Feathers, of course, are a physical thing and associated with birds. Now, I choose to put feathery wings on my images simply because I like them, actually. And because I have clairvoyant gifts, I like to be able to identify light beings. It's part of me establishing what their purpose is for a visit, if I get a visit. And I must say that was in the early days of me developing my clairs, if you like. So anyway, for now, what can I just say? Simply that my preference is for ease over hardship. And let's now talk about Nathaniel's role, his powers and his gifts, because he's actually quite a remarkable angel. Well, let's be real. They all are, actually. None of them are less than amazing and incredible. They're all divine creations. But anyway, so when we talk about Nathaniel, his name actually means gift of God. And his role, or gift of creation, if you like, is the element of fire, with the purpose of transformation associated with it. Most people would have heard of Zadkiel and the purple flame, I would imagine, if you're into angels. And frankly, while I haven't asked the question, I would imagine that he is probably working directly under the influence and power of Archangel Zadkiel. But anyway, when we talk about fire, we're talking about a transformation of consciousness from the limited or small self of who we are as mere mortals to this understanding that we have a higher self aspect that is eternal. Now, this fire of transformation that Nathaniel oversees is one that burns away all the misconceptions that we have when we think that we're somehow separate from the Creator or God. By whatever name you want to call the Creator. The fire of transformation is actually one that you can feel physiologically once you invite Nathaniel through the Creator. What can I say? You can feel this as a form of intense. When I say energy, energy can be felt as a heat or a warmth. It can also be felt as perhaps tingling, or your body starts to buzz a little bit. It sounds a little bizarre until you've actually experienced it. And you might feel energy differently. I'd love for you to put your comments up. But either way, you can actually feel it physiologically once you have invoked his healing power. And when you have this deep desire, it has to be a desire for change. So let's talk more about his angelic order before we talk specifically about his powers. So within the angelic hierarchy, he's one of the third order inner angels. Now, I want to clarify, for some reason I haven't thought of doing that before, or on all the other videos that I've recorded. When we talk about an angelic hierarchy, it's not the same, in some ways it is, but in some ways it's not, as what we would imagine a hierarchy of a corporation. You know, when you have a corporate hierarchy, you have your CEO at the top, which within the context of the angelic realm, you would have the Creator at the top. And each of the orders is tasked with working towards some aspect of the Creator's desire. And so we might turn around and say that, you know, the archangels are the department heads, shall we say. And then under the department heads, you've got all these other angels that work within that department. So let's say, I really love simplifying stuff, and I apologize for this. It kind of takes away some of the sacredness, I guess, to actually mention it like this. But I like to convey messages in ways that people are going to understand. So let's say if we were to try and apply this to a rational, logical process of a corporation, you might have the third order inner angels. They might be the transport department. Okay, we'll do that. Now, all of the other angels would be the equivalent of the employee or staff of an organisation within the transport department. They might be the drivers, they might be the maintenance workers, they might be um, purchasing officers, whatever, looking for specific vehicles perhaps to be used. This is probably a pretty poor scenario, but either way, this is the point I'm trying to make. When we talk about the hierarchy, it's not a case of one person being better. This is the big difference between on earth and in the celestial realms. When we are operating from an earthly space, we look at hierarchy as about power and control and where people sit within that hierarchy. Within the angelic hierarchy, ego doesn't play into it. There's no small self. There's no desire to be better than the person standing beside you because everybody's fabulous, okay? So just putting that into perspective. So when we talk about the third order inner angels specifically and what their role is within the hierarchy, we're talking about angels that are very quiet and introspective. Now, some angels that you interact with once you start to develop your connection, some are going to be more jovial or sociable or happy, or you know what I mean? They just come with great humor. When we talk about the third order inner angels, they are probably a little bit more serious than some of the other ones, and their task is to hear the voice of the wisdom of the Creator and then to visualize it. This is all part of the manifestation process. They then will broadcast this vision outwardly by creating a vibration, if you like, of the feelings and emotions that are attached to this vision. Now, they will hold a fire of transformation that sears away all that prevents and blocks the person from finding unity with the Creator. Nathaniel's part will become clear as we go through. But anyway, the primary teaching that they, as an angelic order, teach is that most people are seeking knowledge, love, and feelings of well-being and divine connection, but they tend to seek it outside of themselves. The inner angels teach us to not be looking outwards. I'm actually getting some information as I speak to this video, and this is why I'm pausing. Just a moment, I need to process. Okay, so they're showing me a vision right now as I record this, that when most people pray, for example, you will see them, you'll see many images of people clasping their hands together and looking up to God, praying, pleading, begging for the grace of God or some kind of miracle to occur in their life. Now, the third order angels say basically, change the way that you are approaching this. Open your heart, okay? Because rather than raise your eyes to heaven, open your heart and allow heaven to become part of you, to allow it to be felt on an inward basis. I hope I'm clarifying or articulating this properly. Because at the end of the day, it's within us, okay? This is the key message they're trying to get through to us. So the fire of transformation that comes in is one where we feel it, okay? So okay, so I'm just processing this a bit more. I think I've got it, okay? True guidance comes through the truth of our feelings, the ability to feel love. Words will always offer some comfort, okay, but they are reliant on interpretation, they're reliant on belief, whereas it is the feeling of love that transforms lives. And so the third order inner angels, they help us to open up to receive the feeling of love of the Creator at a core level, so that we can feel one, so that we feel united with the Creator. So to put this into perspective and give you a little bit more understanding, demystify some of the processes, the idea is that when you commit yourself to the light, right, the light of the Creator, the light of the divine, it's going to activate the Amfri Angels. Now, of course, this image here is just my impression once again. using AI. Amfri are fire angels, and they work deeply with humans as part of accelerating their spiritual evolution. And they do this by igniting and sustaining that fire of spirituality, that divine spark that lies within all of us. And their role is to work in a way that links our attention with God created. Now, as I say again, I don't want to keep saying it, but I find myself continually saying it. When we talk about God, you're going to have a name that resonates for you. You know, it could be the creator, it could be goddess, it could be mother creator, whatever it is. These are the words that you would apply to this, but we're looking at the creator by whatever name you call them. But anyway, going back to it, the Amfri will work to link our attention with God in such a way that we receive a greater degree of divine at-one-ment, okay, being one with the creator. They work upon the mental dimension, and they purify the heavy and dark areas of an individual's consciousness. Now, when we talk about consciousness, we're talking about thinking, actually. We're talking about beliefs. We're talking about the limitations of the mind, the restrictions that we put, the obstacles that we put in our own way to prevent us from having this connection. And I mean, perhaps I'm being a little harsh there when I say that we put them in there. We're all born with the veil down, shall we say. So we come to this earth having meant to, I guess, forget. Look, if you speak to small children, you're actually going to sometimes find children that actually do have recollection of what happened before they were born. And it truly is out of the mouths of babes, the innocent comments that they can make. But as they mature, I think probably around about 2, depending on the environment that they grow up in, they start to lose this conscious recollection of where they have been before they were born. So anyway, getting back to this, as we mature as adults, we tend to forget a lot of the stuff that we knew, a lot of this wisdom, and it's our role anyway on earth to actually develop conscious recollection. So getting back to this, the Amfri will help to open up our consciousness again so that we can have conscious recollection, conscious knowledge, awareness on the earth plane. Now, they can only access us, if you like, during our moments of spiritual receptivity. And this is when we've created the space in our own aura to be like a flame of devotion. So it's about dedicating and committing yourself to connecting to the light. Now, if you're lucky enough to have clairvoyant gifts, they have a glowing and fiery presence to them. They work through the mental region, like I say, the mental plane primarily. They can be as low as the astral dimensions. Now, I don't actually like using words like upper and lower when we're talking about the celestial realms, because what we're actually talking about is, once again, not about seniority or ego or whatever. We're talking about the speed of vibration, the atomic matter. And this is the same for us humans. As we raise our vibration, we're able to go up into the higher astral planes. That might be a conversation for another day. Anyway, back to the Amfri task. They hover over us in these moments, and they have a love that's similar to that of a guardian angel that holds their love for us. I love my guardian angel. Anyway, they strive to clear and cleanse us of this dross that sits in our aura, that weighs us down and keeps us separate from the God light, that divine spark. They can also be involved in the working out of karma, if that needs to be done. Amfri are especially interested in purifying human emotions. This is my understandings. And they will work to open up our consciousness and to penetrate through the barricades of self-will. And you will find this occur as you open up, where you get those light bulb moments. You know, it's insights and recognitions that just pop in the mind, in our thought processes. They condition individuals to, well, when I say condition, I think it's actually probably better to say they start the preparation process for us mere mortals to be able to withstand the electrical supercharge that accompanies what is called a major spiritual initiation. We'll talk about that in a moment, because it's a big deal, actually. And I'm just having a little inner conversation with myself. I'm multitasking, talking about how much of this is appropriate for me to disclose and talk about on this video. But either way, these are their role is part of preparing our human bodies to be able to go through this initiation of receiving more light. So the very essence they carry is love, and they are responsible. They carry their responsibilities well for the perfecting of human relationships. Now, as humans are offered this freedom and liberation, which is what we get from these fiery beings, we as humans will reach a higher state of reverence, and we continue as we grow and evolve. We continue to be, I guess, have our progress monitored by the angels of fire, because I think, hear that big outdrawn sigh. How do I explain this? I think through the process of life would be the way that I convey it. We continue to grow and develop, but as we grow and develop, because life is never a case of standing still, there's always going to be more things happening. There's always more growth, more experiences, perhaps more limitation and restriction that we might take on board based on our experiences, especially if they've been difficult challenges. And so there is this ongoing need for purification, shall we say, and the gifts that the Amfri Angels can give us. Now, why am I talking about the Amfri? Okay, the bottom line is actually they're kind of overseen by Nathaniel. Are they overseen by Nathaniel, or is it simply they work together? Because Nathaniel comes in at a certain point. We're going to talk about this. The Amfri kind of do the groundwork, if you like, and Nathaniel comes in and puts the icing on the cake. Gosh, I simplify things sometimes. So when I talk about the Amfri laying the foundations, if you like, this is because it's basically a means, and I talked about the business also, of how as we go through life, we go through these series of changes and ongoing evolution and expansion of our own individual awareness. Well, in many ways, it's a case of we go from one level, shall we say, to the next, and each level requires, I suppose, in a way, an electrical charging to it. Okay, that the electrical charging is considered to be initiation. So it's like we get to one layer and we work on that, and then we've got to get to the next layer. It's not a journey as in a journey of hardship. It's a journey that we come to when we're ready for the next stage. It's like, I guess if we were comparing it to the development chart of a child, we expect a child in most instances that's born with all of its function, that, by age such and such, it'll be able to talk, by age X, it'll be able to walk, run, group sentences together, and all of this kind of thing. But from a spiritual perspective, yes, we go through a series of evolutions as well. So what happens is, from a spiritual perspective, the Amfri is responsible for preparing our being, if you like, for the next stage of initiation, where Nathaniel comes in and he does the initiation process. The initiation, I suppose in some ways it has a different meaning. This is all about words and language and this kind of thing. But either way, let's just say initiation is an event where there becomes an electrical charge from Nathaniel that raises the vibration as per that level. But the Amfri come in as part of preparing for the next stage. The Amfries is basically one that burns up the dross, the heavier energy of the body, to create the space for Nathaniel, who is higher vibration, to come in, enter your aura with the light and fire. Because, of course, the angels vibrate at a very, very fast rate. Now, in case you're not aware of it, when it comes to them working with us, they generally, well, I say generally, but I would imagine always, until we've actually let go of our physical body. They have to lower and slow down their personal auric vibration so that they can interact with us, and we have to raise our vibration higher. And the reality is, because the light of the celestial realms, or the vibration of their auras, is so light, fast, bright, that it can actually be searing and burning to the point of what can I say? I'm not sure I can even actually describe it. Somebody told me years ago that their light is so bright that it would just basically obliterate us. If we were to go into them in our dross state now, it would just be too much. So they have to bring it down. We have to raise ours up with the help of the Amfri, and then we receive the next stage of the divine essence. That becomes what they call the initiation, and it is electrically charged. I say that with full conviction and belief, and I can't say more than that. Okay, not at this point in time, because of course experiences are sacred and personal. So just to reiterate, because I've kind of covered this anyway, I write my notes before I actually do the recording, and sometimes I go down a tangent, which I've done today. But to reiterate and summarize, the Amfri are functioning within their auras at a higher rate than the human aura, but at a lower rate than Nathaniel's aura, because Nathaniel, of course, is a high vibration angel, and the Amfri are lower vibration angels, but they are part of preparing us for the next stage. Now, the process of initiation, of course, requires that we desire, and that we call, with everything that we have. Okay, it's going to burn away the misconceptions that we have held previously, that we're separate, and anything that controls our energy and manipulates our energy or our aura, that's all going to be seared away through this process of initiation. They fire up our soul love, okay, that aspect of self that is connected to the divine, that holds the love. I'm leading somewhere, if you just bear with me here. And so they will respond to our intention, what it is that we hope to happen. And it is this yearning and desire that helps to build the connection. Now, the reason why I want to mention that and address it is because when I first started doing this stuff, I yearned really badly. I wanted it, okay? And I really pushed myself into it. And I can say that, yes, actually, there was an experience. Obviously, I can't share it. But what I can also say is that there's a fine line between yearning and desire and that counter edge of block. Okay, so for me, what I did is I wanted it so badly, I actually blocked receptivity. And it took me a while to work that out, that what I was doing was trying to force this event to occur. And we have to be relaxed and open to receive. And this is once again a bit of a juvenile way of explaining it. If I think back in hindsight of what I was trying to do when I was attempting to do this for the first time, I had been doing meditation every night for about 4 weeks, and it was after my children went to bed. I was making it my life mission at the time, where I would go into this meditative state, pushing, trying to get it to happen. And I took a little break in between recording slides here, and I thought, this is a bit gross. I'm sorry. I simplify things. It was kind of like, if I think back now, I was concentrating so hard, trying to force this to happen. If I think about it, scrunched up face, like a person is constipated. If you've ever watched a child and they're concentrating and trying to push something through, that would have been the energy that I was putting into trying to create my connection. Well, the whole thing is, what I was trying to do in hindsight was force it to occur, where that is just basically not what you do, okay? If you decide to go this pathway and you want to build your connection, yearn for it, yes, but don't try and force it. Accept that it's going to happen in the divine way at the divine time when conditions are perfect. Because the other thing too, in hindsight and upon reflection, as I'm sharing this information with you, is what I am thinking now in hindsight. The reason why it took so long for me was I probably had a lot of dross in my personal energy fields that the Amfri needed to remove before I could make my connection. So hopefully that's helpful to you. So when I talk about the blessings of this initiation, I want to first address that while obviously I've taught a lot of people over the years how to connect and all the rest of it, and they generally will come back when you're teaching people stuff. This is why there is that saying, I believe, that, for every student I've ever taught, they've taught me multiples, okay? Because it's very true. Whenever I've taught or shared information with people, they've usually come back and told me their experiences, and I've been able to learn from their experiences that there are variations of themes. What happens for one person doesn't necessarily happen in the same way with another person, but there are shared similarities of the experience. So where I'm going with this is that the blessings, oh my goodness me, it's just incredible, is when you are ready, Nathaniel will step into your auric field and he will charge your aura with this form of electrical fire. And this is where the word or the term a baptism of fire comes from, okay? There are some people that will say that this is a super electrical charge and it can only occur when your entire body is screaming out for this connection to the divine creator, love, truth, and consciousness. Now, I don't know about that. I'll be quite honest with this, okay? Because I know I was screaming out. As described in the previous slide, I was really pushing for it and trying to make it happen. But the other thing is too that I know of people that weren't, to all extents and purposes on a conscious level, from what I know, having this divine yearning, but rather they were just, I want to test it, and they tested it and they had the same experience basically the first time they tried. And then other times I'm aware of people where they have had this initiation before they were even what we would consider to be consciously spiritual or trying to find their path. I have thoughts and views, and I'm sure you do as well, as to why somebody can suddenly blow open with all their gifts overnight. And I think this is my personal thoughts, I'm interested in yours. I actually feel that it is related to their divine plan. It's part of their divine blueprint and it's non-negotiable. So they might not have been ready for it, but it happened. And when it happens, they are a little bit confused and they need some support and mentoring around what's going on for them. They get very, very confused. I actually do often wonder if these are the ones that end up in the psych wards. But that said and done, the blessing that we get from having this electrical or transformational baptism initiation is this being filled with this amazing, divine, unconditional love, this security and knowledge that we are embraced by the love of the divine, that there are celestial workers, that it does exist. It's not figments of our imagination. We start to know. It's not a case of belief. We know. It's completely breathtaking. Yes, it can be overwhelming. Once it's experienced, though, yes, once we have felt that, we on a conscious level and our souls cry out for more of this incredible, amazing love that comes from obviously the feeling of the connection of divine love, but there also becomes this very deep understanding at a core level as well, that the pool of knowledge, the vastness, the enormity of universe, source, creator, that whole big picture of things, we are just individually very small dots on the landscape. And if I want to add my human thoughts or aspect to this particular part of the message of what Nathaniel can bring to us, it's once we actually have this recognition and awareness, then it's just not possible to actually feel egotistical, that we're somehow better than other people, or just because we know X and Y, that must make us more special or whatever, because the learning and growing never ever stops. And I also think that when we think we know everything, then we stop the process of learning. We kind of inhibit ourselves. Life is actually a journey, and it is a spiritual journey. And I believe the spiritual masters know that, because they've taught too. Many of the spiritual masters have taught people. I always say that, in fact, actually, I think there's a saying about this somewhere, is that when you teach people, quite often the people that you're teaching, they end up growing and mastering subjects more than we ever considered. And when they come back and they share this information with it, it's just truly amazing. It just keeps building on this wonder and love and the feeling of being blessed that we get from having this connection to the divine and having the connection to each other. So it is what is referred to as the powerful transformational energy of the kundalini, the light of the eternal self, the light of God, creator. And it is designed, this light does set us free. It is liberation. So let's talk for a moment about the kundalini, because in fact, I'm not sure that I can actually do justice to the subject, because let's be real, this is a video, it's introductory, and the kundalini is actually a very big topic, really, that I won't be able to do justice to anyway. But the bottom line is, I've put it on the image here that you can see as down at the base, but where it's situated, it's just above the tailbone, or around that tailbone area. It's not actually sitting in your groin, if that's what it looks like to you. It's actually just above the tailbone. But anyway, where we're talking, or what we're talking about with the kundalini, is once that becomes opened, then the energy can pass through the kundalini and up through the entire chakra system like a pole. And it can include ecstasy, joy, love. It travels to the divine, to the creator, down through us, down to the core of the earth, this kind of thing. Now, when the kundalini is blocked, well, what I meant was blocked or clogged with fear, judgment, then misunderstanding will occur far more commonly, shall we say. Either way, this process of opening up to the kundalini, this is, I guess, potentially what the Amfri Angels are doing. They're getting the kundalini ready for the initiation, because it tends to sleep. It's referred to as sleeping at the bottom of the spine. And it lies dormant until you're ready to activate it, until it's ready to be awakened. And for it to be awakened, we have to be psychologically and emotionally ready to receive it. Now, I will go, actually, I'm having it in a debate. I'll go into it and I'll explain to you here. What I did, which I would say learn from the error of my ways, if you like, is that I was unaware of kundalini. I didn't know it existed. This was before I actually attempted to raise my vibration and go through any form of initiation with fire that we're talking about in this video. All I knew was that I wanted to raise my vibration. I had this deep yearning, and I attended a healing session. And before I attended the healing session, it was actually with the crystal bowls. Long story, I might talk about it in the yarning at some point in time. But what happened was I went along to this crystal bowl healing after I had avowed to the universe that if I understood logically and rationally the need for raising my vibration as part of connecting to the divine, I had recognized that I was full of fear and I was blocked. And I actually asked my guides and angels to push me through the process, whatever it took. I didn't care. I wanted it. As I've said to you before, I really wanted it badly. And they complied. Suffice to say, I pushed, I forced, and I got what I asked for. But the bottom line was I didn't know what I was asking for. And by the way, it wasn't the end of the world, I have to say. What I did was I forced my growth to occur in such a way that it actually caused me huge physical pain in the tailbone area as that kundalini was awakened. Now, I didn't know what it was at the time. I had to go back and speak to the lady that did the bowl. She was quite advanced, shall we say, or in her journey at least. and she had recognised through the course of the healing session that I had started to have pain, well, significant pain actually, and so she stopped doing the session. So I felt a bit guilty afterwards because it impacted on everybody's capacity to experience the healing, because I literally was in agony. I couldn't sit down, I couldn't lie down, and I was rolling, literally writhing in pain. And in fact, I will go as far as saying that I could barely contain any physical response because it was becoming so painful. And I was actually praying for the session to stop at the time that it did. The lady told me afterwards that she actually ended the session because she knew that something wasn't right with me. And when I told her what had happened and where I was feeling the pain, she was the one that explained to me that it was the kundalini that was being forced open, obviously at my request, and that was an ill-advised action on my part, because it doesn't need to be that painful. When we allow things to happen as they're meant to happen, then there's not going to be pain. So the only thing I could say from this is, once this chakra is open, yeah, that is great. I don't think mine was fully opened at the time because I hadn't released enough of the fears and because it was too painful for me. But anyway, the idea is once this Kundalini center is open, you can then bring this energy up and down, and it blows open all of the chakras. We'll talk about that now. So when we talk about the chakras, these are actually the gifts and the blessings that we receive through the opening of the Kundalini and through the activation and initiation. So whether we force it or not, ideally you will not force it, okay? Ideally you will allow it to unfold in a natural way. Once we open up to this energy, it forms like the channel, as I say, going up and down your spine. Now, what that does is actually energize all of the chakras and allow them to bring through their gifts. Now, just in case you're thinking to yourself, oh, wow, I want to get that happening and blow all of my chakras open. It doesn't quite happen like that, okay? Because everything is based on our personal development, and what we're comfortable with, how much we've actually healed and released of the dross energy, shall we say, as to how much we can access these higher chakras. So you're working on the chakra system, and certainly you're going to get elevation. And I put my hand up to say, I don't want to mislead you into thinking that somehow I have managed to escalate this to the top vibration, because that would be incorrect and misleading. There is this ongoing series that I continue to go through as well, of raising the vibration of each chakra and being able to access the gifts that they give to us. So when we talk about the gifts of the chakras, I'm just going to give you a bit of an idea. This is stuff for you to reflect on yourself, okay? The red chakra supports the base desire, the survival, the will to live well, protection, this kind of stuff, the will to live safely and this kind of thing. The orange chakra is about emotional mastery, overcoming fear and directing our emotions into positive pursuits and results by harnessing the passion. I should point out too, by the way, Kundalini energy fuels passion, okay? The yellow chakra brings in this faith, trust, hope, also knowledge and information, because it's good for teaching and learning. And as we learn new information, we become more confident. We have greater capacity to endure, greater strength, greater resilience, all of this kind of thing. When we look at the heart chakra, of course, we're looking at this capacity to be able to, or the blessing is the ability to be able to forgive those, that old prayer that we've got, of forgive those who have trespassed against me as I forgive them. That's kind of centered in the heart chakra area. Then when you look at the throat chakra, it's being able to express verbally, say what you feel. You're looking at, by the time you get into this blue chakra, being able to speak confidently, say what you feel without regret, because you're actually delivering your communication, your expression with love and compassion. And there's no straining to do it, I might add. It just comes naturally. As your third eye opens up, a lot of people think the focus of the third eye is to be able to develop your psychic gifts and your clairs. That happens by default as you develop the capacity to see through the eyes of love, shall we say, to be able to see beneath the veneer of other people, who are, let's say, behaving in unpleasant or antisocial ways or whatever, to be able to look at them and look past this superficial image and see, yes, there's a divine spark in there. It doesn't mean that you've got to hang around with them if they're very unpleasant people. It just means that you recognize they are where they're at right now today. You don't have to judge them. They are what they are, as you are what you are, and we're not all walking the same path at the same time. So there's a level of understanding, and that understanding comes through via the crown chakra. And this natural ongoing process, because there are higher chakras as well, this is what connects us to the universal wisdom as well. So it's a complete process that brings us back to the Creator and strengthens our Creator to the divine. But I have to be honest and say it is an ongoing process. And this is what we're being reminded through this video with Nathaniel, is that there is a series of activations, a series of steps. Some people turn around and say it's like, the peeling back the onion, if I can pronounce it, onion layers to get to the heart of the onion. Well, in a way, that's the same with our chakra body. We're peeling back the layers of fear to get to the purity and the divine energy source, to strengthen and solidify that connection we have with the Creator, which is pure love. So back to the messages of Nathaniel, it is basically that the cosmic fire that he brings to you and to me is pranic and universal. It's a universal energy, and it includes all the forces of nature. It is energizing. It's a cosmic vitality, if you want to call it that. And the closest that we can come to on this plane, as far as trying to imagine it without actually experiencing it, would be as the flicker of flames from the fireplace or a candle, but it's they're much denser, okay? Because, of course, when you're talking about Nathaniel's fire, it is actually high vibration, so you don't actually see it with your physical eyes. But as you go through the process, you will actually, I would be surprised if you didn't have conscious recollection of seeing a flame, even though it's not a physical flame and it's not going to burn your house down, okay? So getting back to this, it's a flame that burns up dross in your immediate environment and within your aura, if you like. I like saying that, if you like. It's not really a very good term, but such is life. Okay, anyway, point being, it does take courage, it does take perseverance to labour through this darkness and dross, that release as we prepare to go through the initiation stage. And so he reminds us to celebrate, I would say actually take it a step further. I think that through feeling this connection and going through this experience, the love is just so rewarding, shall we say, in itself, that it just makes you want to celebrate. You know what I mean? You just want to sing, I guess, about this experience. I will talk about it sometime in my yarning, my Sunday yarning, to a level. I won't disclose everything. I'll just say that, my experience included another person. We both experienced it. So when we talk about celebration, our celebration was, we were so excited, we actually couldn't speak to each other, couldn't wait to speak to each other. But that's a story for another day. This video is getting very long. So if these are experiences that you want to go through, that you're looking to do, you can actually create an invocation yourself. I've given you some tips and strategies here. You can call upon the Creator and Nathaniel and connect with the Amfri in preparation for your own initiation, okay? And the way you do it is obviously through invocation, stating the purpose of your intent before doing a meditation. And a way that you can assist the process, you can try this if you want. I didn't do it myself, but it is recommended. I always burn candles when I'm doing any spiritual activity, okay, even if I'm not meditating and looking at the flame. So I just want to clarify this here. you can actually, the advice here is to meditate upon the flame. So you could light a candle and just put the focus of your intention onto that candle as you do a breathing activity after stating your invocation and the purpose and intention of your activity. And if it's to purify your mind, body, and spirit, raise your light levels to the maximum you can carry, you could do that. You could do the whole invocation that's here and state that before you actually start doing your meditation, and then focus on the candle flame. Now, you wouldn't need to do it all the time, okay, or for a long time, okay? As I said, I did, but I that was in the early days when I used to make things hard work for myself. You could perhaps dedicate 5-10 minutes every day to looking at a candle until you have this experience of initiation that it is that you're seeking. I should have mentioned on the other slide, but I was distracted because my dear little puppy walked in and played with his squeaky toy. That when you're doing your invocation, don't forget to put on that little disclaimer of, under grace in the divine way. That will save you a lot of pain with that kundalini. And then also finish all invocations and prayer with gratitude. Thanks be for blessings seen and unseen. Thank you in advance, because you know that you will receive it at the divine time in the divine way, things like that. And of course, heartfelt gratitude is the key. And I'm going to leave you with that. And I'm going to invite you to leave your thoughts, your experiences, your questions. I welcome them. If somebody asks a question and you've got an answer based on your experience, I invite you to put your answers up, because the more information we share with each other, the quicker we will all grow. And I guess from that perspective, we're looking at raising the planetary vibration simply by raising our own personal vibration and helping other people to achieve their potential and strengthen their own divine connection. So, for now, though, my friends, I'm going to say love you, leave you. Thank you for being part of my journey. I do wish you a wonderful day, wonderful week. Take care. I'll catch you on the next video. Bye bye for now.